Hello, everybody. I'm Joe, and this is the GM Toolbox. It is Tuesday, which means it's time for an episode of TOV Tuesday with the GM Toolbox. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is Tuesday, and Cobalt Press has been doing a segment each week called TOV Tuesday, where they cover parts of Tales of the Valiant. So I thought we would get in on that here with our own version called TOV Tuesday with the GM Toolbox. So today we are going to look at how to build a character in Tales of the Valiant. And I thought we would look at the Mechanist, which is Tales of the Valiant's own unique class, kind of their answer to the Artificer, but I really like the design of this class. It feels like a lot of fun. So let's take a look, and we're going to build Ironman in Tales of the Valiant. So this is going to be a lot of fun to do. So let's take a look. Okay, so here we are on creating character creation and leveling. There's a few steps to creating a character. Obviously, we want to start with creating our character concept. So for us, like I said, that is going to be Tony Stark, Iron Man. We're going to make Iron Man in Tales of the Valiant, or something close to it anyways. So we're going to have to choose a class, which we decided is going to be the Mechanist. We'll have to determine our ability scores. There's a few ways to do that. We can roll dice. We can do point buy, which if you notice here with point buy, there is a few different options here because it takes us all the way up to a score of 18 as opposed to 15 in Dungeons & Dragons. So we can have an 18 right out of the box. We'd have a starting score of 32, but we don't apply any modifiers to the point buy. This is it. We buy our points. We're done. However, for the sake of this video, we're just going to use standard array, 16, 14, 14, 13, 10, and 8. And then after that, we will choose our lineage and then our heritage. So that is kind of Tales of the Valiant's version of what was formerly known as race, now known as species in Dungeons & Dragons, but it's broken up. Lineage is your genetic abilities, what you are born as. Are you an elf, a dwarf, a kobold, whatever. Where heritage is how you grew up, what your upbringing taught you. Now, if you're an elf, you might have more of an elven type lineage, or if you're a dwarf, you might have more of a dwarven lineage, but you don't have to. You can mix and match what makes it a lot of fun. In this case today, we're going to make a kobold. So we'll kind of look at that. And I think our heritage is going to somewhat match our lineage just because of the build we're wanting to do here to make him very much a tinker, an inventor, creator of things. And then we'll look at our starting equipment and stuff like that. So let's get started. So we have our character sheet here. You can see on the right side of the screen. And let's plug in our standard array abilities. So we are going to start off here with, let's see here. We're going to, intelligence is our primary ability score here. So that's going to be the one we kind of focus on. So that's going to be our 16. So let's put that in, and then let's flesh out the rest. Now, after that, we want to go with either strength or dex. For this guy, I'm going to make him more dexy because I'm going to use some ranged weapons, and then I will flesh out the rest of these. Okay, so you see here what I decided to do is drop the 16 in intelligence, the 14 in dex. My other 14 I want constitution just to have a little bit of hit points because he is going to be getting into combat and stuff like that. We went with just a straight 10 on strength. We did go with a 13 on wisdom. I want him to be somewhat wise and perceptive because I do kind of want to, have that ability. Charisma was our dumb stat here. So let's go now and look at the mechanists themselves and start fleshing out the class. Okay, before we move on, I just wanted to take a quick look at this page here because this does show us how, the steps we go through, right? We create our class, we choose our class, our subclass. If we're doing experience, we put that there. We kind of come up with a character name, lineage, heritage, background, and then we start building everything out. So they number this stuff so that we can easily see the steps through creating a character, and they list that here. So we've already know we are going to do a Mechanist, and he's going to be level 3. And we're going to, we'll get to the subclass in a minute. But let's come up with our character name. So since we're doing a Tony Stark type character, this guy's going to be Tino Spark, the Kobold Mechanist. So for our we'll get to the lineage and heritage, but I do know I am going to be picking a kobold, so I'll just put that in there for the lineage. There is more to that because there's some options in there. So let's head over to our class now. Okay, so here's our Mechanist. Now, if we look here, he is going to be hit dice are 1d10. We have proficiency in light armor, medium armor, shield, simple weapons, martial weapons. We get tinker tools and 2 additional tools of our choice. Our saves are going to be con and int, and then we can choose skills arcana, history, investigation, perception, or sleight of hand. We're going to choose 2 of those. So let's start with those saves real quick and just apply our proficiency bonus. Now, we are going to be at level 3 for this character, so I'm going to put a proficiency bonus of +2. And then I will fill out my saving throws. Okay, so you can see here I have fleshed out my saving throws. We have a +4 in Constitution, a +6 in Intelligence. I've chosen Arcana and Perception as my 2 skills that I'm going to be proficient in. I'm going to get some more from some other sources here. So there's a method to my madness here on why I might not have chosen something like Investigation or History, because we'll be getting those from some other sources. I did choose, I get my Tinker's tools and 2 other sets of tools. So I went with my Tinker tools, Alchemist tools, and Smithing tools. I have my armor proficiencies, my weapon proficiencies. For my starting equipment, I chose the martial weapon and shield. I did go hand, crossbow, and shield. I know that doesn't exactly make sense, though you could do a shield and a hand crossbow, but as a Mechanist, I can also create magical weapons of any form I want. So there will be times where I'm probably going to go with maybe a short sword or a rapier and shield, and other times I might be I kind of want to dual wield hand crossbows. So that was my method there. Plus I get a light crossbow as part of my starting equipment, which honestly, if I was playing, I'd probably talk to the GM and be like, can I just trade that in for maybe a hammer or something else, because I probably won't ever use it. But just for the sake of this video, that's what we're going with. I chose leather armor since I am not a stronger character, and with my subclass, I'm actually going to get better magical armor out of this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There's my shield. So I do set my armor class here. You notice they have 2 fields on the character sheet, one for no shield and one with shield. So 16 and technically right now I should say my armor class is going to be, and there's a reason I put 16. I'm getting ahead of myself. So technically my armor class is 13 and 15 right now. So we'll come back and we'll adjust that later. We have some abilities that we are going to get up to 3rd level here. We get Eye of the Maker. We're going to get Shard of Creation, and we are going to get Augment, and then we'll get our subclass. So Eye of Creation is going to allow me to basically touch a magic item or some other magic imbued object and learn its properties. I basically am able to identify stuff really easily. Shard of Creation, this is the bread and butter of the class. You have this bundle of like plasma-like stuff that you can do a couple different things with. First, you can use Inspire, which basically anytime you make any ability check, so that includes skill checks, not saving throws, but any ability check, you can spend a charge, roll a d6, and add that number to your result. This will include things like when I do my tool checks, because tools do use ability scores. And then I can also transform it into some kind of medium-sized or smaller item. This includes things like weapons and stuff like that. So I could, if I wanted to, crossbow and magic crossbow for my shard, and then my regular crossbow, and I'll be dual wielding crossbows. Or if I'm going to get into melee, I can transform that into a short sword or a rapier, bust out my shield, and go that way as well. So kind of a neat concept. I could also just do shield and crossbow if I wanted. Of course, you're like, oh, well, you have to load it. We'll get there, because the next thing is augments. We get to choose a couple of augments. So augments are kind of like warlock evocations. You get a whole bunch of them that you can choose from, and you get more as you go up. If you notice here on this table, augment effects known, it scales. We're actually going to get 3 of them at 3rd level, so we're going to go pick those now. Okay, so here's this section on augments. There's a bunch of them that we can look through, but I already know which ones I want. The first one I want is detecting. I'm going to get some goggles that I can then basically kind of enchant, and they'll let me either have dark vision out to 30 feet, which I probably won't need since I'm already a kobold, but magic vision, which basically lets me have detect magic within 30 feet. They're just detect magic goggles or X-ray vision. So I can swap between these abilities whenever I want. Really with my goggles, there's some restrictions around that, but pretty cool. Also the invisivision, which lets me see invisibility. So 4 different things I can do with this detecting. Now, the other one I want is empowered, which is basically going to turn the weapon, you imbue a weapon with offensive power. The weapon gains a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls. If it wasn't already magical, it is now. If it was magical, this bonus stacks with the existing bonus. Once I hit 9th level, this becomes a +2, and at 15th level, +3. So pretty freaking cool. So we're definitely going to go with that. And then we're going to go with loading, which basically lets me ignore the loading property. And I basically just get magic bolts. So I can literally just dual wield crossbows and just be shooting 2 bolts every round if I want. So those are the 3 we are going with. So let's fill that out in our character sheet now. Okay, so down here on the bottom right side, this is where we can put some features and traits. There is more room for more stuff on the second page. This is generally where I put my lineage, heritage, feats, things like that. I'll put on this page. I kind of keep the more combat and more used abilities right up here on this first one, but you can break it between the 2, obviously. Okay, so at this point, right, we already have our level 1, level 2. We could go into level 3 and start on our subclass, but why don't we go over real quick, because since we are doing this a little out of order by having a level 3, let's go look at our lineage, our heritage, and our background. Okay, so starting off with our lineage. Like I said, this is what you may have previously referred to as your race or your species coming from D&D 5.5. This is going to be basically the things what you're born, your DNA. These are the things that your DNA provides to you. So this will determine our age, our size, our speed, things like dark vision, which we have. So base walking speed is going to be 30, our dark vision out to 60 feet. We have an ability called Tinker's Fascination. Your innate fascination with how things work allows you to use tools with ease. When you make an ability check with a tool, you can roll a d8 and add the result to the check. So any of my tools that I've already selected, and I'm going to be getting some more soon, I can roll a d8, add that. Plus, if I use my Inspire from my Mechanist ability, I can also roll a d6 and add that if I want. Now, keep in mind that Inspire ability is restricted to a number of uses equal to my intelligence modifier per long rest. So it is finite. I can't use that unlimited, but pretty cool. Next thing we have to do is decide if we are fierce, which is a small kobold, or true scale, which is a medium. Now, medium kobolds would get a natural AC of 13 plus their dex modifier, and they get resistance to either acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. I love this, but for this character, it's a little unnecessary because he's going to be getting some magical armor that would override this AC bonus. So we're going to go with fierce, which allows him, when a large or larger creature attacks him within 5 feet, he can use his reaction to attack that creature immediately after its attack. So let's enter that into our sheet now. All right, so you can see here I've added fierce next to my kobold lineage, and down on the second page, I added my dark vision, I added my Tinker's Fascination, and my fierce ability. Just obviously shorthand notes here because character sheets are finite in space, but we have that info here. So now let's move on to heritage. Okay, so heritage is our upbringing. What was our life like growing up, and what things did we learn to do that we weren't just born with? So in this case, I really love the salvager heritage. Now, this is definitely a heritage that ties well with kobolds, but regardless of whether I chose a kobold or not here, I just love kobolds and I felt like doing one. I would have definitely gone with this heritage for this build because it does some really cool stuff. For instance, this Reef Purpose ability. You can create tiny non-magical items using materials from your surroundings. An item takes 1 minute to create and can be anything 25 gold piece value or less from the adventuring gear table. When done, it must sit float on a surface within 5 feet of you. The item is obviously kit bashed and resale value is minimal. After one use, the item becomes non-functional. So it's just you building quick little things. Sometimes it'll be funny, sometimes it'll be useful. I just I just see so many cool roleplay opportunities, and this does feel very Tony Stark making the first, Iron Man suit in the cave, right? Like, yeah, that's not a tiny object, but it's that same kind of feel, and I just absolutely love being able to just salvage stuff and make things with it. So repurpose is super cool. The other ability here is Tinker, which you have proficiency with Tinker's tools, which we already have, and one kind of tool of your choice. So we can choose another toolkit here. Now, since we're already proficient in Tinker tools, are we allowed to take another tool or not? I'm not sure. It's not really, they don't say that you can here in the book. I have submitted a question to the kobolds. We'll see if we get that answer. As a GM, I'd allow it. Like if you were at my table and you're like, I already have Tinker's tools, can I pick another one? I would say absolutely. In this case, I'd probably take the trap kit or hunter trap kit, whatever it is, so I can make traps. That's probably would be my next choice here. But in this case, we're going to go with construction tools. So I just want to be able to build all sorts of stuff. So construction tools, and if we do get an option for a second one, we would choose the trap kits here. So we're going to do that. And then we get a couple of languages as well. So we get common, and then we get one other one. I'm just going to go with Draconic because I'm a kobold and it just makes sense. But we could choose any language, any common language we really want to here. So let's add that stuff in. Okay, you can see here I've added my languages. I've added my construction tools. If I was taking the other toolkit, I'd add that in here as well. And then I've added my repurpose and my tinker ability down here in this other additional feats and traits section. All right, so next up is background. Okay, plenty of backgrounds to choose from, and you can make custom backgrounds if you want. Take inspiration from your old D&D books. Tome of Heroes has some great stuff that you can integrate into your very easily. But since we're sticking with what we have in the Tales of Valiant Players Guide today, the Maker background is just perfect for this build. So what the Maker background gives us is 2 more skill proficiencies. We can choose from investigation. We get investigation, then we can choose from history, performance, or sleight of hand. So we're going to go with investigation and history here. Okay, I've added those here to my character sheet. You can see I have +5 in both of those since they are int-based skills. Now I get additional proficiencies, which I gain proficiency with 1 tool, and I double my proficiency bonus when I make a check using this tool. I'm going to go with Thieves' Tools because I just want to be really good at taking care of traps. So that's going to be a specialty of mine. So we're going to take Thieves' Tools and we're going to double our proficiency bonus whenever we use them. Let's add that in. Okay, I've added that as well. And you'll notice that I'm putting in parentheses my source from where I get them from. Definitely not something you have to do, but it just helps me to remember, hey, that's where I got it from. Because sometimes I get, several months into playing a character, I'm like, why do I have this? Where did it come from? So sometimes it helps just to kind of put the source of some of your proficiencies in there. So I've marked my Thieves' Tools is coming from the Maker background, and I noted that I get double proficiency, which, I spelled wrong. So there we go. Okay, we do get some starting equipment as well from our background, which I'll add. But more importantly, we get a talent. Every background gets a talent. So we're going to go look at some talents now, and I have just the one for this build. Okay, here we are in our talent section, and I'm going with a technical talent called Trade Skills. So I've honed my skills to work in a particular profession. When you select this talent, decide what that profession is and gain these benefits. So I would gain a proficiency with 1 skill and a tool or vehicle relevant to that profession, or I can gain a proficiency with any combination of 2 tools or a vehicle relevant to your chosen profession. In my case, I already have a ton of tools, so I'm just going to do 1 tool. Now, again, I still kind of want that trapping one, and I think I can get that, honestly. Like, I don't think this is something we should beat up over the fact that I've got Tinker tools from 2 different sources. But for this profession, because they should match, we're going to go with kind of an herbalist. So we're going to take nature and herbalist kit here. And then I can double my proficiency with 1 skill I'm already proficient with. And this has to be a skill I'm not already, have expertise per se with. In this case, I am going to choose investigation because I feel like it's going to be a very important part of this character. And then I have advantage on checks whenever I make a tool check where I also have a relevant skill. So like with my herbalism kit, since I'm proficient in nature and herbalism kit, I would get advantage on those checks. On top of the fact that I get the plus, a D8 from my Tinker's Fascination, and if I wanted to, I can add a D6 from my Inspire as a Mechanist. So I'm gonna be really good with a lot of these tools, and that's kind of the idea. Is if a bard is like can do all these different skills, a Mechanist can do all these different toolkits. So tools are definitely playing a bigger part of this build and of Tales of the Valiant. I feel like they have more value in Tales of the Valiant. So very, very excited about this. So let's add that to our sheet now. Okay, so you can see here we have added our herbalism. We've added our nature skill, which is a +5, and we are now have double proficiency or expertise per se in investigation, bringing us up to a +7 at level 3. So this character is looking really, really good. Let's head back over to the class now, and we can start to flesh out our subclass. One quick note, though, before we go, is some of these talents you could take more than once, including the trade skill talent. I could take it again and choose a different skill and kit to become proficient in, but probably not going to do that with this particular character. He's already got a lot of tools, and we're looking pretty good. So let's head over to that subclass. Okay, so Mechanists have two subclasses, the Metallurgist and the Spellwright. The Metallurgist really is more of a I think combat-oriented type Mechanist, where the Spellwright is more of a spell-oriented Mechanist. So the Metallurgist, though, is what I want to go with, because they get this really cool ability where they basically transform their armor into this really cool magical suit of armor. We'll get there in a second, but let's first look at their first ability, which is called Absorbing. So this basically, you gain the following unique effect to your augment feature. So if you remember, the augment feature is where I got that empower, the loading, and the detection abilities from. Well, we get this one in addition. We can't replace this one. It doesn't count against the number that we know. It is a bonus augment. So if we look here, Absorbing basically says you empower armor or a shield with the ability to absorb and adapt to different damage types. When you take a single instance of acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder damage while wearing or wielding the item, you can use your reaction to reduce the damage taken by an amount equal to twice your int modifier. So this is why I didn't go with that kobold, because I already kind of have that ability built in. And the Mystic Metal, which is the next ability, also kind of makes that medium-sized kobold just not really valuable in this build. So we gain resistance to the triggering damage type for 1 minute as well, until you use this feature to absorb a different type of damage. So really, really cool. You can use this feature a number of times, equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest. So let's add that real quick. Okay, you can see I've added that here on my character sheet. I've noted that it's 2 per long rest right now. So we have that. Now, the really cool part of this is what makes us Iron Man. Right now, we're just Tony Stark. We're about to become Iron Man. And that is with Mystic Metal. So Mystic Metal lets us transform our armor. It doesn't matter what type of armor. In this case, I'm wearing leather armor. If I chose the scale mail, it would work for that too. Whatever we want, whatever armor we're wearing, we can transform it into this magical suit of armor that appears to be all metal from head to toe. You decide what it looks like. In my case, it's going to be red and gold. And it's gonna look like Iron Man. I mean, I'm going to be Iron Man. But because it is, regardless of the appearance, Mystic Metal armor is not made of natural materials such as metal or wood. Therefore, it isn't affected by magic like the heat metal spell or abilities that of a rust monster. And it's lightweight and doesn't hinder movement, and you're considered proficient with it. So let's see what this armor actually does. So first off, each gauntlet of the armor functions as a simple melee weapon with the light property, which you're proficient with. You can choose whether you use your strength or int modifier to determine the attack bonus and damage dealt by the gauntlets. On successful hit, a gauntlet deals 1d6 plus your strength or int. So for me, that's 1d6 plus 3. That's already better than my crossbow, because my crossbow is going to do 1d6 plus 2, which is my dex. So if I wanted to get up and just start punching people, I could do that, or I can go with the shield and fist, and it's already going to be better than a short sword. So if I want to do anything, I'd probably use a rapier, so I can have at least a D8 plus dex, and even then, I don't know. It depends on it's a tough call, but suddenly my gauntlets become one of my best weapons I have in my arsenal, which might be an argument to keep my light crossbow around, but at the same time, 2-hand crossbows is pretty cool. The next thing this thing does, here's where it gets really cool, guys. If it is on the same, your armor, if your armor is on the same plane as you can use a bonus action to summon the armor. When you do so, you choose whether the armor appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of you, or it appears on you, fully domed. If you are already wearing armor, when you summon this mystic metal armor, it can't reappear on you. So if I take my armor off to go to sleep at night, I'm chilling. Hey guys, we're tight. Bonus action. I am Iron Man. It just comes on me. So, this is gonna be really cool. I'm absolutely loving this. While you wear the armor, it's attached to your body and it can't be removed against your will. While you wear the armor, your AC equals 13 plus your int modifier. So that's why we are gonna have an AC of 16, and with our shield, it will be 18. So let's add the mystic armor onto our character sheet as well, and you can already see that we have I've changed the ACs, but I'll add the mystic armor up here as well. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so I've kind of fleshed out the rest of my character sheet here. One thing I did forget to mention earlier, I must have breezed over it because I was so excited about this build, was that the Mechanist also gets an ability at level 2 called Efficient Action, which lets us use our weapon options as bonus actions. Now, if you're new to Tales of the Valiant and you look at your weapons, we can see here, let me close this, that every weapon has a weapon option. So for instance, short sword has disarm and crossbows have pinning shot. So not the light crossbow, but I believe the hand crossbow does have pinning shot. So I can use these weapon options as a bonus action. The weapon options are listed in the book, but they're just cool extra things you can do with your weapons. So if we look here, disarm, basically make an attack roll with the weapon. On hit, the target must succeed a strength or dex save, or drop their weapon, shield, or object it's wielding. The dropped item lands in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the target. You get the idea. And then pinning shot kind of does what it says. You'll pin the target to a wall or an item. There has to be something there. If they're standing out in the open, you can't use a pinning shot. So that's usually what a ranged weapon or a dagger or something like that can do. I don't believe light crossbow has that, so I should take that out. But I just did note in here BA to remind myself that, hey, I can do that as a bonus action. So you'll see here, though, I've filled in my armor, I filled in my hit points, my hit dice, my passive insight, investigation, perception, my initiative, my speed. You notice we have extra spots for speed in case you have swim speeds or climbing speeds or things like that, or flying speeds. I've fleshed out all of my skills. So we've got a pretty good character here. I've also added all of my the rest of my inventory from my background, which is like my wax seal, my ink stamp, my traveler's clothes. I have 10 gold pieces worth of gold shavings and silver dust, but no actual money with this character. It doesn't start with any actual money. Now, level 3, they do have a section in here for what you would start with at higher levels, but you don't really get anything extra until level 4. Work with your GM on that. I would probably, my GM would probably be like, or I as a GM would probably be like, yeah, you got 25 gold or whatever, something, just to, something obvious, right? We'd want to create our backstory and things like that, our age, height, weight, all the fun stuff that we would do. We could put a picture of our character in here. And then if we had spells and stuff, they would go on the third sheet, which we don't have to worry about for this character. But now we have a character. Oh, and we want to put the subclass in here as well. So let's put that right here. And our heritage was salvager, and our background is maker. So we have all of that filled out. We have all of our abilities. we are ready to play some Tales of the Valiant with a Mechanist. And this character is going to be a lot of fun. So Tino Spark, he is Iron Cobalt. And I think he'll be really cool. So hope you enjoyed this Tales of the Valiant Tuesday. I hope you learned a little something about making a character and about the Mechanist, which is a fantastic character. What do you guys think of the Mechanist? Let me know in the comments below if you like the Mechanist and how you would build this character yourself. Well, that's it for this edition of Tales of the Valiant Tuesday with the GM Toolbox. Thank you guys for coming on that journey with me. I'll see you next time.